Torah isn't just laws and stories. It's a spotlight pointing to Jesus. Genesis, the promised seed. Exodus, the Passover lamb. Leviticus, the high priest. Numbers, the living water. Deuteronomy, the prophet greater than Moses. From the beginning to the end, the Torah whispers Jesus in the Torah.
Shalom, everybody. Welcome to this week's Journey Through Torah. This week we're in Parsha Mishpatim, which means Judgements, where it's found in Shemot or Exodus chapters 21 through 24. And as always, guys, if you have the opportunity, please read through these portions before you watch the study. You get a little more out of it if you do. Plus, other avenues might open up and different areas where you might want to start examining other issues or different things. Plus, some things might make a little more sense to you if you have read it before you jump into these, okay? So if you have the opportunity, please do that, all right? So let's kind of jump into Mishpatim here. Mishpat is the basis of the word Mishpatim. It means judgments. Now, I know, first thing, we think judgments, we think that's a bad thing, right? But truth be told, we want judgments. And this is like when Israel was brought out of Mitzrayim, and then they sat before Moshe, and they were having issues, they were having problems, there were things that needed resolution. Okay, so in that basis, it's judgment that we're seeking. If we have an issue, if we have a problem, we want some kind of advice, some kind of offering, some kind of something to say, this is how we need to proceed. And in essence, that's judgment. So judgment is not always a bad thing, guys. Judgment just means it's some kind of rendering of justice or in a situation, this is what we need to do, okay? Some kind of sentence that comes forward. Shofet is a judge, right? Where we see later on, we see Parsha Shoftim, judges. So Shofet is a judge who renders forth Mishpat, judgment. Now, in the context of this, whose judgments are we talking about here now, right? Are we just talking about we're supposed to just go around judging each other and making judgments against each other? No, that's not it at all. What we have here in this Parsha is Yahweh speaking. Okay, so whose judgments are we looking at? We're looking at Yahweh's judgments. We're looking at things that Yahweh decrees on our relationships and how we're supposed to live from and with one another. All right, we're studying Mishpatim. It's right after the Parsha with the 10 sayings or the 10 commandments. And this is understanding Yahweh was not done speaking. Okay, when we're studying Mishpatim, we're studying the heart of Yahweh. This is not just like legal formulas and just legal things of how we're supposed to live with one another. Understanding, again, Yahweh is still speaking from the mountain. So as he is doing that, he is still revealing his heart, his life, his character, the things that are him. He's revealing things of himself to us in ways that we can understand, in ways that we can actually grasp it, okay? So as we're going through these things, we're literally the heart of Yahweh to us, his people, and how we're supposed to live life. Show us that when we get off the course, this is how you get back on it. And show us how to stay walking the course with him. All of these things, of course, is very important. We need to do this. So as we're going through studying the Mishpatim, we can't say that they're irrelevant. We can't say that they're obsolete. We can't say that, they just don't apply. Because if we're doing that and Yahweh is eternal and unchanging, then we are saying that his word that he decrees changes. And it doesn't, because he does not change, right? So when we're studying this part, it is about relationships, not just with each other, but with Yahweh and each other. So as we're doing that, we understand. Think about the Shema, right? When Yeshua was approached and he said, when Yeshua was approached and he was asked, what's the greatest commandment of all? He said, what? Shema. Hear Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all soul, your mind. This is the greatest commandment, right? And then the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. He put these two things together. Well, in Parsha Mishpatim, we are studying to learn just exactly that. How do we show Yahweh that we love him? How do we show our neighbor that we love them? So as we're seeking the word of Yahweh, he is revealing himself to us. In other words, his word is a revelation of him. as we're learning his word, we are seeing how he expresses righteousness to us, because his word is righteousness for us. So if we're seeing a relationship of Yahweh and the nature of Yahweh, we're seeing this with Yeshua as well. Again, don't forget, guys, that his word reveals his heart. His word reveals who he is to us. If Yeshua is the living word, he's revealing himself to us, right? So, in the last Parsha, in Parsha Yitro, where the Ten Commandments were spoken, remember how the people responded? Yahweh himself spoke to the people, but the people couldn't take it. The people couldn't handle it. They backed off. And they said, Moshe, you go find out what Yahweh says, and then you come back and tell us so that we can do it. Now, that's also another source of problems, isn't it? Because Moshe went up to the mountain, he got the words of Yahweh, brought the words of Yahweh back to the people, and then it seems that people want to go, yeah, but that's just you, Moses. Wait a minute. You said that you couldn't hear this for yourself. You sent Moshe up to get these words. Moshe brought the words back to you, and now you don't want to hear them? I think this also goes in line with Yeshua when he said, if you believed what Moshe wrote, you would believe me, because the words he wrote were about me. See, it is a revelation of who he is and a revelation of his heart, right? So Yahweh was still speaking. He wasn't done talking. It's not like the people said, oh, no, we can't bear to hear this anymore. We're going to die. And so he just said, okay, well, that's it. I guess I'm done. No, there was more he wanted to give. So there was more that people would have received from Yahweh himself if they had not backed off. And so what we're seeing here is, again, who will draw near? Who will ascend the mountain? Who will come to Yahweh? Well, again, Moshe had to bring us these words to teach us the heart of the Father so that we would approach. So we start off here in Exodus 21. It says, these are the rulings that you were to present to them. Okay, so and again, this is not like every single situation of life, but these are the rulings you were to present to the people. So these are issues that could have very well happened. These are things that could have been done among the people. And Yahweh is saying, here's how you handle these situations. Again, addressing the characters of ourselves and addressing the things that we go through in life, right? In other words, in order to know how to rule righteously, we have to operate in the authority that we have been given. Yahweh has given us a measure of rule to do just that, as long as we are lining up with the things that he has declared. See, in order to know what righteous rulings are, you have to know what Yahweh says is righteous, and you have to know what he says are proper rulings. So again, he's revealing his heart to his people. And understand as well, we have to do this in the earth. We have to understand and learn how to walk together. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we hurt one another, maybe not intentionally, maybe so, sometimes intentionally, but we have to learn how to resolve the situations. That's why we see things like Psalm 82:1, where it says, Elohim stands in the divine assembly. There with the Elohim, he judges. Now, Elohim, we translate loosely as God, means a power, a ruler, an authority. So we translate this, Elohim, Yahweh, God, stands in the divine assembly. There with the Elohim, with the judges, he judges. So as the judges are standing in the divine assembly, as the judges are standing at the gates to the city, they're not to give their own judgment. They're to render judgment according to what the Torah says. Okay, so again, it was part of the responsibility of the leaders of the city to say what is allowed in the city and who can come in the city and what can be established there in it. I mean, it has to line up with the word of the Father. Proverbs 28:4-5 says, to reject the Torah is to praise the wicked, but to obey the law is to fight them. Evil people don't understand mishpat, but those who follow Yahweh understand. Okay, see, a person who is not righteous, their idea of justice is not really justice. A lot of times people's idea of justice just means I got what I want. Sometimes justice means you don't get what you want, but you get what is right. Okay, and that's where we have to have Yahweh's wisdom to discern these things and how to determine what is right and what is righteous. Going forward to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 5 and 6, We see, look, I have taught you laws and rulings, just as Adonai my God ordered me, so that you can behave accordingly in the land where you are going to take possession of it. Therefore, observe them and follow them. For then all the people will see you as having, check this out, wisdom and understanding. When they hear all these laws, they will say, this great nation is surely a wise and understanding people. Notice when you're following the word of Yahweh, it doesn't say that the nations, that all these people will look at you and say, wow, look at those people. They're in such controlling bondage. No, it says they will look at your life. They will look at the word that Yahweh has given, and they will see the character of Yahweh in you and testify of that. And it makes me think of in the Brit Hadashah, where it says, let the people see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. See, that's how it's supposed to work. The people see the word of Yahweh in you. They see his character, his spirit in you, and then they testify of him. So what are one of the examples of these things? Well, let's take a look at this one. Exodus 23, verses 4 and 5. If you find your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you must surely bring it back to him again. If you see the donkey of one that hates you lying down under its burden, do not leave it, rather you are to release it with him. So here he's saying, if you find your enemy's ox or his donkey, he's going astray, you get it and you take it back to him. Now, what's implied in that as well is, okay, what if he's not home? Oh no, his fence broke. Oh well, guess it's your loss. No, you help with the fence. You help make a way for them to keep the animal in the pen, keep the animal where they're supposed to be. Even if this idea, so if you see the donkey, if someone hates you lying under its burden, say, the donkey, it's there, the load was heavy and it fell and can't get up, go help them. It's not, at this point, it's not really about someone who you consider your enemy. It's someone, it's helping another living creature. You don't mistreat them either, right? So again, you're showing the character of Yahweh for his creation. And in doing so, you are showing kindness to one you consider an enemy as well, right? Let's move forward a little bit more. Let's go to Matthew 5:43 to 48. It says, you've heard it said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good. He sends the rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Even the tax collectors do the same, don't they? And if you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than anyone else? Even the pagans do that, don't they? Therefore be perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect. See, what we're seeing here is that, you've heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. No, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. This lines up with what we just read, because loving your enemy is also showing kindness to his animals if they were overloaded, or if they were got out, or if you're just roaming around loose or whatever, right? So again, showing kindness here, it has far-reaching. Romans 12:16 to 21 kind of addresses this as well. It says, live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but associate with the lowly. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Repay no one evil for evil. Give thought to what is good in the eyes of all people. Now, this is also speaking from Proverbs 3, verses 3 and 4, where it says, let kindness and truth never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. And then you will gain favor and a good name in the eyes of God and man. Again, the idea of showing kindness and not repaying evil for evil is part of the process of writing the word on your heart, which is what we're supposed to have anyway. It's not just a book. It's not just something that we read. It's supposed to be a part of your very nature, a part of who you are, a part of what you're changing into to be more like Yahweh every day. You're learning his life and his character as you're going through his word. And that affects your relationship with him, and it affects your relationship with those you encounter here as well. Romans 12:18 says, if possible, for as far as it depends on you, live in shalom with all people. Never take your own revenge, loved ones, but give room for God's wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Adonai. Again, that's quoting from Deuteronomy 32:35, where it says, vengeance is mine, right? But here, so as much as it depends on you, live in shalom with all people. See, some people just don't want peace. Well, you can't make them have it, but you can have it. So as much as it depends on you, you do the right thing. Okay, you try to live in a peaceful relationship. You do these things. You forgive. You show kindness. You pray for them. You do these things. And you doing these things does not depend on if they do it. It's not reciprocal. You just do it and let Yahweh deal with it. Okay, going further on, verse 20. So if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him a drink. For by doing so, you will heap coals of fire on his head. This is taken from Proverbs 25, 21, and 22, where it says, if your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat. And if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For you will heap coals of fire on his head, and Adonai will reward you. A lot of midrash given on that whole coals of fire thing, the heaping coals of fire on his head. I'm not settled on just one interpretation of that, but there's many different things that can be related to the altar, to incense, to purification. Even in Isaiah 6, where the angel took the coal off the altar, touched it to his lips, right? It's purified him, he's clean. Fire is cleansing. There's a lot to be said in that. You can kind of speculate many different things, but we don't really have a full, solid explanation of that. So we can just kind of talk about a few of those things and then just keep moving on, right? So let's do that. Romans 12:21 says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. We also see in 1 Thessalonians 5:15 where it says, see that no one repays evil for evil to anyone, but always pursue what is good for one another and for all. So again, it's not just repaying evil for evil to anyone, not just to your brothers, but to anyone. And pursue what is good for one another and for all. See, a lot of times we just pursue what's good for us, but he says pursue what is good for one another and for all. Don't return evil for evil. All of this lines up with the Torah and the teachings of Yeshua because they don't contradict, right? Even thinking of this more so. If you are to restore your enemy's sheep, how much more are you to restore your brother's sheep? See, because if we're supposed to go out of our way and help someone who hates us, how much more so someone who's your brother? So we had this in this Torah portion Mishpatim, where it talks about your enemy and their animals. We go forward in Deuteronomy 22, we see it expounding a little further on the same principle. Deuteronomy 22, 1 through 4 says, you shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep going astray and ignore them. You shall take them back to your brother. And if he does not live near you, and if you do not know who he is, you shall bring it home to your house, and it shall stay with you until your brother seeks it, and then you shall restore it to him. And you shall do the same with his donkey or his garment, or with any lost thing of your brother's, which he loses, and you may find. You may not ignore it. You shall not see your brother's donkey or his ox fallen down by the way and ignore them. You shall help him to lift them up again. Really interesting the way this phrases it, because it says, so if you see your brother's ox or his donkey, or your ox or a sheep or whatever going astray, don't ignore them. Take it back to your brother. But if you don't know who your brother is, how would you not know who your brother is? See, his fellow Israelite, right? His brother. So even here, what are we supposed to do with this? If we encounter a lost sheep that is going astray, we are to restore it to our brother. We are to restore it to its rightful owner. Does that kind of say something to you? How about this? If you see a lost sheep, you care for it and restore it to whom it belongs. Guys, I'm talking about our Heavenly Father. I'm talking about our shepherd. I'm talking about restoring to Yeshua. We've all been lost sheep, right? And that's what it is. We've all gone astray, but we need to be restored back to him. Luke 14, 1 through 6 says, so when Yeshua went to the home of one of the leaders of the Pharisees to eat a meal on Shabbat, they were watching him closely. And there before him was a man swollen with fluid. And so Yeshua says to the Torah lawyers and the Pharisees, is it permitted to heal on Shabbat or not? They kept silent. So Yeshua took hold of him and healed him and sent him away. Then he said to them, which of you with a son or an ox falling into a well on Shabbat will not immediately pull him out? And they could not reply to these things. Again, a matter of restoration. Here we had one who was afflicted, and he restored him. And the problem they had was, you did it on Shabbat. Shabbat is a day for doing good. Yes, it is a day for healing. It is a day for restoration. And that's what Yeshua is getting at, okay? This is a time to help restore the sheep on any time, but especially on Shabbat, right? Matthew 15, 24, Yeshua says, I was sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We've been lost sheep. and he was sent to restore the lost sheep. Again, him talking about him being a shepherd, right? Psalm 119, 176 says, I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek your servant, for I do not forget your commandments. Not even down to that idea of you have this sheep and you don't know where exactly he's supposed to go, but you bring him in and care for him so he can be restored to its owner. This is kind of that same idea here. And Yahweh will seek for his sheep. He will seek for his people. And we need to help be a part of that restoration. And in doing so, don't forget the word that is supposed to be written on your heart, right? Proverbs 19:27 says, my son, if you stop heeding instruction, you will stray from words of knowledge. Sounds pretty simple, but it's pretty profound, right? If we stop listening to the word, we'll walk away from it. If we're not consistent and constant in the word, we'll end up leaving it. And we will be like a lost sheep. John 10:27, Yeshua says, my sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. Not just hear my voice, not just he knows them, but and they follow him. So you got to have that in there too, don't you? Isaiah 53:6 says, we all like sheep have gone astray, right? 1 Peter 2:25 says, for you like sheep were going astray, but now you have returned to the shepherd and guardian of your souls. We're sheep, guys. I know we live in a society where sheep, it's a kind of a dirty word, right? But we're supposed to be. The question is, what shepherd are we following? Are we following a true and good shepherd? Or are we following evil ones? Or are we just saying, I don't follow anyone? Well, then you're following yourself and you're not following Yahweh. Okay, we can't say, I'm going to follow Yahweh, but I'm going to do it my way. It doesn't work that way. Luke 15:4-6, Yeshua says, what man of you having 100 sheep, if he loses one of them, doesn't leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one which is lost till he finds it? And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders rejoicing. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which is lost. Again, we have been lost sheep, but we need to return to Yahweh. And when we return to him, we need to learn his ways. It's not just about, okay, so we're the sheep, we're going wherever, and then and we just do whatever we want and just out there. No, because then you're out in the wilderness and you're open to the elements and the predators. The sheep have to be with the shepherd. Okay, we have to return to the shepherd, which means we have to, like Yeshua said, hear his voice and follow him. Jeremiah 50:4-7 says, in those days and that time, says Yahweh, the children of Israel shall come, and the children of Judah together, going and weeping, they shall go, and they shall seek Yahweh their God, and they shall ask the way to Zion with their faces there, saying, come, let us join ourselves to Yahweh in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray, and they have turned them away on the mountains, and they have gone from mountain to hill, and they have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them. And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers. He's saying that the sheep have gone astray, and the enemies of the sheep that are destroying the sheep are saying, yeah, it's okay, they left God, so go ahead and do it. But what does Yahweh desire? Restoration. Though we were lost, he wants us to have that perpetual covenant with them. He wants us to come in and have that relationship restored with them. So even though we have that idea, though the people have been lost sheep, does that mean that they've ceased from being a nation of people that were there from the mountain, his sheep, his flock? No, they have not ceased to be a people before Yahweh. Though they have gone astray, he says that he will search for his shepherd. He doesn't say, oh, my sheep have gone astray. Oh, well, I guess they're not my sheep anymore. No, then he goes out and gets them, right? Back to Jeremiah 31:35-37. For thus says Yahweh, which gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and the stars for a light by night, which divides the sea and the waves thereof roar. Yahweh Zavaot is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus says Yahweh, if the heaven above can be measured, and the fountains of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all they have done, says Yahweh. So what he's saying here is, All these things that are established, they're going to continue. So therefore, Israel will continue. So what's the context of Jeremiah 31? What's going on here, right? Okay, so let's go back and take a look at the context of Jeremiah 31. At the same time, says Yahweh, I will be the God of all the families of Israel. So we're talking about all Israel, all the families of Israel. That's all the tribes, all the families, all the people, and all those from the nations who have joined in with them, right? And it says, and they shall be my people. And again, I will build you, and you will be built. And you shall plant vines on the mountains of Samaria in Shomron, and the planter shall plant and shall eat them as coming things. And the watchman upon Mount Ephraim shall cry, arise, and let us go up to Zion unto Yahweh our God. O Yahweh, save your people, the remnant of Israel. And I will bring them from the north country, gather them from the coasts of the earth. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahweh, O you nations, and declare it in the isles far off, and say, he that scattered Israel will gather him and keep them as a shepherd does his flock. So far what we're looking at is all the families of Israel being the flock of Yahweh. They're his sheep, and he is our shepherd. Going on, it says, I have surely heard Ephraim bemoaning himself. Thus you have chastised me, and I was chastised. I repented, and after that I was instructed. See that? We repent, and then we are instructed. If we repent and then we say, okay, now it's time to receive instruction. No, I don't need any instruction. I repented. I've been forgiven. I don't need to learn anything. We've missed the point. See, if we repent, then we need to learn his ways, right? We need to learn how to follow him. So, is Ephraim my dear son? Is he a pleasant child? For since I spoke against him, I do earnestly remember him still. Therefore, my bowels are troubled for him, and I will surely have mercy upon him, says Yahweh. And it shall come to pass that, like as I have watched over them, to pluck up, to break down, to throw down, to destroy, to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, says Yahweh. Now we get to verse 31. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Okay, so this new covenant, who's it with? House of Judah and the house of Israel. In other words, all Israel. Not just the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom that were scattered and exiled and dispersed into the earth, that have become assimilated and forgotten, but the house of Judah as well. All Israel, even all the lost sheep that were gone will be brought back. And this is a new covenant that he will establish. Again, who's going to establish this? Our great shepherd, Yeshua. Verse 32. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband to them, says Yahweh. Verse 33. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahweh. Okay, so what's the difference between the two? See? Keep reading. I will put my law in their inward parts. I will write it in their hearts, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. See that? The difference is, it's not the word. The difference is the method of delivery. See, instead of words on stone or words on a page, it is now written within you. It is now written in your heart. It becomes a part of your nature. The word doesn't change. He says, I will take my Torah and write it on your heart. He didn't change his Torah. He changes you, right? Because if you are his sheep, he will bring you in to be part of his flock. Going on, verse 34. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me. From the least of them to the greatest of them, says Yahweh, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. See that? There is a day coming where no one will have to say, Know Yahweh anymore, because everyone will know him. We're not there yet, though. Not everybody knows him. So in the meantime, we need to have his word written on our hearts. We need to learn his ways to follow him, and we need to be his sheep. We need to come together with the rest of the flock and to be his sheep and to testify of how great our shepherd is, right? We need to learn the word. not necessarily our preconceived perception of what we think the word already says. And it's kind of redundant, right? But we need to learn what the word says, not what we think it says. A lot of times we approach the word with a bias of well, this is what it says, and so when we read it, we get our bias is what we filter everything through. We all do it. Different degrees, different variations. It's kind of the way we're built, because to understand something, we have to have some idea of an understanding to build on, right? Well, guys, a lot of times that's our bias. Thing is, what happens when we're reading the word of Yahweh and it doesn't line up with what you already think? At that point, do we follow him or do we walk away from him? Do we really serve him or do we serve our idea of who we think he is? As we're searching through the word, are we searching to find the heart of Yahweh, or are we searching to line up with something just to give us a little boost and help our ego feel good? The word changes you. It's not there to affirm you in your sin. It changes you. And so as we approach it, let's approach it with an open heart, open mind, open ears. Let him say what he wants to say. Let him teach us his mishpatim, his judgments, his righteousness, his words, his ways. Let him change you by his presence daily. Let him change you by his words daily. Let us seek him with all of our hearts. Let us love him with all that we are and pursue him. Love Yahweh and love your neighbor. Well, that's all I've got for you today, guys. That's a lot. I hope this has blessed you, encouraged you, and challenged you a little bit too, right? If this has been a blessing to you, then please share it. Guys, whatever avenue you watch or you listen to these Torah studies, please share them, help get them out there. Because if it's been a blessing to you, it's going to bless somebody else, right? So help us get these out there. And if this has been a blessing to you, then please consider making a donation to help us continue to create these videos and put them out. Everything we do here in regards to these videos and the platforms and the equipment and everything else, it all has a cost, all has something associated with it. You help us do that. Okay, that's the only reason why we can continue to do this. So if this has been a blessing to you, then please consider making a donation to help us continue to do that as well. All right. So until next time, guys, be blessed, be a blessing, and shalom.
Thank you for watching Jesus in the Torah. If you would like, subscribe, and share these teachings with your friends. For more resources, please visit HFF.church and visit our campuses in Oklahoma City and Dallas on Saturdays. Remember, everything points to Jesus.